Hey guys, Ron here, and a couple of weeks ago I made some of my own Paradox forms, and I'm gonna make some more, cause you can't stop me. It's a nice opportunity to bring some relevance to a few lesser used Pokemon, like last time, and stretch our brain muscle to come up with fantastical ways to make speculative Pokemon. What's even cooler is that I actually stream myself creating videos on YouTube pretty much every Monday at around noon Eastern time, so all my lovely viewers actually helped me make the Paradox forms you'll see before you today. I really do think it helps elevate the final results, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe and potentially click the notification bell to know when the next stream is live. The first Paradox Pokemon I want to make today is based on Gothitelle. Now, since all the futuristic Paradox forms are based on sci-fi tropes, I thought it would be appropriate to take inspiration from one of the first robots in cinema history, the Maschinenmensch from Metropolis, a German dystopian sci-fi film from the 1920s. It's this feminine robot that was honestly the inspiration for many robots in sci-fi like C-3PO. Why'd I emphasize the O? Now you're gonna think I don't know Star Wars. C-3PO. It'll also take inspiration from Maria, a character in Metropolis whose likeness was used to create the robot. But I'm also gonna combine it with the oracles from Minority Report. Since Gothitelle can predict the future, perhaps it's also used in a dystopian city to predict crimes and disasters. So basically a 1920s future-seeing robot. That's also a bit Kirby. I started with the literal face of a Gothitelle with a bigger spike, but honestly she's a bit prettier already and I didn't do anything. Don't know why. Instead of many bow-tie shaped protrusions, I'm just giving her one on her chest to mimic the breastplate design of feminine robots like the Maschinenmensch. She'll have a much shorter skirt with long legs that again mimic the Metropolis robot. She's pointing at the stars, perhaps getting a vision. Now I'm gonna take inspiration from the robot's head protrusions and the feather headdresses popular in the 1920s. I gave her a more dancey pose, as if she's in a trance, perhaps alluding to the oracles of Delphi, refined the design a bit before making her lower body a bit longer, finished it up by trying to find the perfect color, but it needs to be shiny like the other future Paradox Pokemon, and black would look too matte, while a dark gray would help facilitate a more glossy finish. Originally I made her glowy bits blue, but it made her look like a water type once I added the bubbles in her colorful energy bits, so we opted for purple with a lighter face. Behold, Iron Oracle, a utopian society's fortune teller, a psychic steel type. It resembles a sketch in the Violet book that depicts a future-seeing automaton. Iron Oracle uses dance to go into a trance, allowing them to see into the future. A Council of Iron Oracle is used by an eventual government in order to predict crimes and disasters that might befall their utopia. It is theorized that the first Iron Oracle was created by a genius scientist in the image of his late wife. Iron Oracle uses unpredictable dance moves to fight in battle. Make sure to not get knocked out by their adamantine limbs as they're in their erratic dance. The citizens of the future worship Iron Oracle as a goddess. It has quark drive just like the other future forms. Its shiny is fully chrome just like the rest of them all as well. It definitely works for this Pokemon. It came out exactly like I wanted to. I'm sure there are going to be a bit of Gothitelle haters that would prefer this Fakemon. It definitely feels like something they would have done, even if it's a bit more suggestive than the average Pokemon. Next, I want to make a Paradox form for Iron Hands. I want to see what this Pokemon looked like in the past. So, Iron Hands is basically based on the whole trope of rebuilding an athlete into a cyborg. So how about we make an ancient version based on an older sport, like sumo wrestling. Now, keep in mind, in a previous video, whenever I showed a sumo wrestler, the video got demonetized and age restricted, because I can't show a sumo wrestler's body. So, here is one clothed. Hopefully the point still stands. It'll look more feral and brutish than Iron Hands, less rigid and definitely more colorful. It obviously won't be an electric type anymore since there ain't no electricity in ancient times. So let's do this! Just making the basic round shapes, instead of the metallic horn of Iron Hands, he'll have a giant protrusion on his head, kind of like how all the other ancient Paradox forms have spikes, scales, or exaggerated protrusions. He'll have headband-like hair around his face that looks like the traditional chonmage hairstyle of sumo wrestlers, before tied into a top knot, and actual ears instead of cylinders. The hands will look like Iron Hands' giant hands, but without the energy. His flappy cloth-like skin is based on the mawashi belts sumo wrestlers wear, with feet that look like traditional two-toe Japanese sandals, warmer colors, with yellow eyes since this is an ancient Paradox form. Check out Thrusting Arms, the traditional sumo wrestling champion, a fighting type. Described in the Scarlet book as a hunk of solid muscle. Since ancient times, it has practiced its straight arm slabs in a number of locations. One hit of Thrusting Arm's open-handed straight arm punches could snap a tree in two. If it bears down and tightens all of its muscles, its body becomes as hard as a rock. It loves to match power with big-bodied Pokemon, and it can send a great tusk flying with one of its arm thrusts. Thrusting arms that are big and fat aren't necessarily strong, because there are some small ones that move nimbly and use moves skillfully. It has the ability photosynthesis like the other past Paradox forms. I'm very proud of this design. Its sumo inspiration really came through, both an age-old art form and wonderful inspiration for a fighting type. Game Freak would definitely make a Pokemon like this. I hope you're okay with its pure fighting type though. Now we all love Roaring Moon, so how about I make a futuristic version of this dinosaur? It'll be based on the idea of those futuristic military jets, a giant unmanned drone, let's say. Instead of being a feathered dinosaur, it'll be more of a scaly dragon. So a natural progression of the evolution. It won't be as feral as Roaring Moon, but still very dangerous like a fighter pilot. Obviously some metallic parts since this is going to be a futuristic Paradox form too. Just setting the proportions of a dragon, longer protrusions, perhaps making him look more like an amphibian, a salamander perhaps. Now I'm giving him the metallic parts since it's an iron future form. How about it places his hands inside the metallic shell to be more aerodynamic, like a transformer. Now I'll give him classic moon-shaped wings that Roaring Moon has, but no feathers, basically the next step in evolution. Just a sleek crescent, modeled after the Rebel Alliance symbol, since spaceship is basically what we're going for. More uniform version of Roaring Moon's colors too. Beware, Iron Crescent. The top speed drone of futuristic warfare? A dragon flying type. This infinity energy powered being is described in the Violet book. Anyone standing in its path gets sliced right in two, while this Pokemon continues its flight without interruption. Infinity energy fuels its brutality, and it may even turn on the scientist who raised it. It's been dubbed the blood-soaked Crescent. It puts its four legs inside of its shell to streamline itself for flight. Iron Crescent flies at high speeds over all kinds of topographical features. It becomes uncontrollable if it is enraged. It destroys everything with shredding claws and fire. It is believed that it actually destroys out of pure joy. It was possibly modified from a flightless Pokemon that wished to fly. I know it's not as ferocious looking as Roaring Moon, let's say, but I think the sleek build makes it look extra futuristic. I really like the color scheme too. Iron Bundle is a strong Pokemon, so let's make a strong ancient version of it. I'm tired of the idea that every ancient Paradox form needs to be mean or feral, so let's make this one actually help people. It'll be based on Santa, since he's pretty old and is part of a tale as old as time, or at least like a few centuries. He'll be a flying type that flies around, helping people with its sack. I mean, instead of a hydro cannon from its tail, it'll have a bag of treats. I mean, it's wacky, but it's a good connection to Iron Bundle. I mean, it's just a penguin body with a head that's a mixture of various species of penguins. He's waving at us because he's friendly, a chest pattern that looks like Santa's beard, and a button-like belly dot, amicable face, and a sack tail. Kind of looks like he's brought us presents, but you know, that's the point, so it's a good thing. Here's Present Carrier, a messenger from a time before technology? An ice flying type. It carries food all day long. There are tales about lost cave people who were saved by the food it had. It would barter with hunter-gatherers, giving them seeds from distant lands to plant exotic crops. It nests at the edge of sharp cliffs. It spends all day carrying food to its awaiting chicks. If attacked, it throws its food at the opponent. It carries its food bundled up in its tail. It is possible that human civilization has Present Carrier to thank for kickstarting its development. I thought that all the other past Paradox Pokemon were too brutal, and that there should be at least one that coexisted with ancient humans. I hope it's not blasphemous to give it a slight Christian design. Just felt right. And now Brute Bonnet is a Pokemon I think needs a futuristic form. I mean, it already has patterns that are similar to Pokeballs, so how about in the future it's made to look like Pokeballs and various other man-made technology in order to camouflage into the future. It won't have spikes anymore, just a sleek and streamlined piece of technology. Definitely less intimidating too. The idea of an artificial plant is very prevalent in science fiction, except that he's not a plant, he's a fungus, but we won't tell anybody. So I made Brute Bonnet's cap, but without the dangerous spikes. The body doesn't need any legs. The dude is futuristic, he doesn't walk. Streamlined beak, the same Pokeball arms Brute Bonnet has, and more relaxed eyes. No moss, because people in the future constantly maintain and polish it. Same colors, like literally the same as Brute Bonnet. Just beware, because Iron Cap is among us. The streamlined Mimic. The Violet book tells us of a Pokemon that looks like human technology. In the future, Pokeballs are so abundant that even fungus looks like them. It lures prey close by dancing and waving its arm caps, which resemble Pokeballs in a swaying motion. Iron Cap puffs poisonous spores at its foes. If the spores aren't washed off quickly, they'll grow into mushrooms wherever they land. This escaped lab experiment was originally made to produce mushrooms to feed the populace. Its shiny is based on the Great Ball. I'm tired of Chrome Shinies, honestly. I know it's an odd-looking Pokemon, so you'd think Game Freak wouldn't make a Pokemon like this, but honestly, they did. check the date this video was released if it wasn't obvious what the hell was happening by now. Go check out my real videos, they're on screen now. I recommend the ones full of actual Fakemon. Of course, I have other videos without Fakemon too, but those don't promise any Fakemon. Make sure to follow me on Twitter where I show previews of the Fakemon I made on stream here on YouTube, so subscribe to know when the next stream is. Also, leave a like letting me know the time code you realized this was all a joke.